Drop it on the random.
Okay, welcome to episode 32 of That's What I'm Saying, the podcast about hip-hop, entertainment, dating, sex, relationships, and social issues from a sometimes ratchet but mostly woke perspective. So, subscribe to That's What I'm Saying, the podcast. We're in iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, Stitcher, Castpie, your mama's house, your baby daddy's house. Tune in. And of course, family, we are on Spotify. So, I'm Shaun.
I'm Ny. What up, y'all?
Go
ahead. Well, this week we have a very, very special guest. I know every week we always give a shout out to our super producer Vegas. So he has decided to join us on this episode. Welcome Vegas.
Right. What's up, ladies? What's good?
We're doing good. We gonna get this together. We're gonna get this ball rolling. All right. So now, what do we call this episode?
I'm saying it the Airbnb.
Okay. All right. I want to send a special shout out to our listeners in Dublin, Ireland, slang to y'all or whatever y'all say out there. We see you. So thank you for listening. All right. Getting right into the Ratchet Minute. What we got?
Oh Lord, have mercy. All right. So. This is like this whole next segment is just one of the things that irritates the shit out of me. So I titled this Ratchet Minute Struggle Love. So recently, the pastor John Gray, and he's kind of like a well-known pastor. Earlier this year or earlier last year, he was one of the group of pastors that met with 45. He also was the same one who gave LaToya Luckett the advice about moving in the spirit of a wife instead of a girlfriend. So he's a part of this group of men that just finds it. They just want to tell women how to be women. It just irritates me to death. So anyway, he was on TV1's The Sister Circle, which is hosted by Selena Johnson, you know, the Grammy Award winning singer. And he was talking about his relationship with his wife, Aventura. Or something like that. Her name is.
She a mall? Okay.
No, she's not.
That's her name. No, what is her name? Avenger. Is it Avenger?
Aventur or something like that. Aventur. Something.
Okay.
I don't know. Aventur. I don't know. Something.
Okay.
But anyway. So he was saying that he married a woman that was 2 sizes too big for him. He had to grow into her. And that throughout the course of their marriage, she has endured a lot of pain caused by him because he just wasn't ready to be married. He wasn't ready to be her husband. He wasn't mature enough. And so he said that she has endured more pain birthing him than she has giving birth to their kids. She sacrificed, according to him, she sacrificed the last 8 years uncovering the painful areas of his manhood and covering the areas that could have exposed him. So he's giving advice on how a woman could be there for her husband and, you know, and help him mature and grow into the man that he's supposed to be. And at the same time, lifting him up, she's like stifling her growth so that she can be a covering for him. I just have certain feelings about bullshit like this.
I know you do.
I just have, because, you know, when you are a boy and you are birthed by your mother and your father, it is your mother and your father's job to grow you, to mature you, to give you the tools of life so that you can be a strong man for yourself and for your family and your wife, however you choose to live your life, but you can be a whole person and you not come out into this world broken. It's not your wife's responsibility to fix you. We're not fixers. We're not fixers.
Okay, so
that's my stance on it.
I know me and you know,
it annoys the hell out of me with shit.
I know it does, and I can hear it in your voice, and you know I love you like cook food. But girl, I have a different way of looking at this.
I know you do, because I know you do. We are so different.
Don't come for me. I'm gonna come for you. We're gonna get this right. So I just heard something different from him. Like what I heard was he saying was really that in the beginning of his marriage, he was inadequate. She was a woman that was 2 sizes too big for him. So meaning levels. She was, whatever it was, more mature than him. Her heart was more open than he was. She was light years ahead of him when they first started out. And like he said, I had to grow into her. And had she not had the patience and the perseverance to, which, this women, we naturally have that. We're nurturing, we're mothering. So she stayed when, when times were tough, and maybe it was a time when she should have jumped ship. She stayed. And I think that's what he was acknowledging, that she was more of a gift and a prize for him, so to speak, than he was for her when they first got together. And had he not recognized that, had he not recognized that, they would probably not have endured and been together. But he's coming at a place to me where it's introspective and saying, I recognize that I put her through a lot of this BS because of these growing pains as a man. And I hear what you're saying, that, parents, it is your duty to raise these children. But, let's not forget that we don't live in a perfect world. So not everyone has those tools. And then, you can't give someone something that you don't have. And that's for a parent, and myself, I speak as a parent. It goes both ways. I cannot instill into my child what I don't have. So I have to do the best of my ability. And that's what every parent out here is doing. So, we're all broken in certain areas. Some of us hide it better than others. Some of us, paint over it and put spackle on it and build it up and, put drywall and do all kind of things to it. But we are all, I think, if we acknowledge, we're all broken in certain ways, and it comes out in our adult life. So I really looked at this as a man coming to terms with, I was a man child. I didn't put her through some shit, and I'm so thankful for her, because she saw in him what did not come to fruition until later on. That's what I got from it.
Okay,
But I know
I have something else to say.
I want to hear Stephen, but I know you do.
I want to hear Stephen's perspective too. But what really gets under my skin is that from these men, it's always, I never hear them talking to other men about how to be better men, how to be better fathers, how to be better husbands. I always hear from them what a woman needs to do in order to be better for her man. And that is the message that I just don't like. I don't like it. Why instead of I don't want to say brainwashing, but I kind of want to say brainwashing. Instead of coming to these women and saying, this is what you need to do in order to heal your men, why don't you speak to men and say, this is what you need to do to heal yourself?
And I agree with you. I'm not taking away that message. And I would hope that message is being conveyed. But I think the one that you're hearing is when he comes to the woman, when
it's the one I always hear. I don't ever hear the message about them. And maybe Stephen, you can chime in with this, but I never hear the message of when they're talking to other men about what they can do to better themselves. I don't know. Well, Stephen, what do you think?
Well, first of all, I don't even know who these people are. So, are they white, black?
No, they're black. They're very black.
They're black.
They're black.
He's a black pastor. He has a reality TV show that he does. I've seen him speak before. I've actually there's a church that I sometimes frequent. So I've seen him, he takes over for Pastor Richardson down here. Sometimes I'll go and I'll hear him, just kind of along the lines of that. I mean, it's uplifting. It's great. It is Bible based, but I mean, he's very outspoken when it comes to family and relationship and marriage. And, I think he talks about his abuse. He's been abused as a child and the healing that came from that. So just a little background on him, John Gray.
I think the number one thing is not to generalize, you know what I'm saying? Because I know sometimes it can feel like what you're coming in contact with feels a certain way, but that's not necessarily representative of all men. I've been in a number of conversations with dudes that are right, with dudes that live their life wild, that want to be better, but maybe they don't know how. And like Shaun mentioned, not everybody had that upbringing where they had the perfect situation to be taught how to be a man. Like for me, as an example, like my father wasn't around, you know what I'm saying? So you would think that'd be something that'd be passed on through my father. But my mother was a single mother. She didn't really know how or when or even have time to to make sure certain things happen. Now, obviously, there's certain things she did, but I kind of agree with Shaun. If not knowing this dude, because I don't know him. Maybe if I saw more on him, then maybe. Um, but that's true. There's a lot of dudes. I know a couple of dudes who were like grimy. You know what I'm saying? When it came to dating and relationships and their perspective on women, and when they met that right woman, they felt like that woman fixed them. But it wasn't something that was I don't know. It wasn't like teaching. It was organic. You know what I'm saying? The way it happened. It's an organic. It's a yin and yang thing. It's a push
Right.
and pull thing where it's even. You know what I'm saying? It's not necessarily her taking him to school or nurturing him. It's just her letting him know that she supports him and she feels like, maybe there are ways he can do things differently. You know what I'm saying? And he recognizes that. So maybe dude is just saying, now I could see how I was and how I don't like that. And she is responsible for that change. Doesn't mean she had to, breastfeed this nigga, but at the same time,
because
she helped him get better.
That's the message that I'm getting from these men, is that they want these women to be with them. Like, they have this saying in the church, being equally yoked, where when you have situations like this with Gray and his wife, they weren't equally yoked. So why is it her responsibility? And I'm saying she had a choice. She could have stayed or she could have left. But why is the message always that these women, be there for their man, and give these men space to grow, at the same time, stifling your growth? Why is that always the message? And I understand that no one is perfect, and you go into relationships and you learn from the other person. But the continual message that I'm hearing is that it's these, they're kind of, teaching these or preaching to these women that you need to be the stepping stone or whatever for these men in order for these men to grow. And I just don't, why can't you come to me? Why can't you get yourself together first and come to me as a whole man? Why do I have to be in this relationship of pain to allow you to grow?
Yeah, like I get what you're saying, because I think what plays a role in it also is the church, and there are some rules that the church has in regards to marriage and relationships that may not govern what I'm feeling, you know what I'm saying, or what I've been through. So they'll preach something like that, like, yo, support your man, take care of him, blah blah blah. So I feel you on it.
Well, and it also, and yeah, I definitely agree, because that's a church thing to me. Like, that whole thing about, they say it's equally yoked, but at the same time, it's the woman should be subsistent or subservient to her man. And I have my own idea about that, but how can, which to me, if it was equally yoked, yes, that's how it's supposed to be. But how can you get behind a man who's so broken and can't direct and move forward and move his family forward because he's so busy and really needs to heal himself? You can't put that burden on that man. And I think for women, we are naturally nurturers. So in a way, it kind of, I understand it differently, because I think if you look at a woman's role, and I think, look, I'm all for gender roles. I know some people don't agree with that, but I believe that there's a role for a man and a role for a woman. Otherwise, don't call yourself a man and don't call yourself a woman.
I agree.
But one of those things is, like he said, she was a covering. And I look at Michelle Obama, and I think she is the perfect example and a definition of what a woman is to be a cover to her husband. And it's not, not always stand behind him and not play the background, but she is his ultimate and his biggest supporter if he's doing the right thing and when he's doing the right thing.
And that's important, if you're doing the right thing as a woman. And I agree with you in having gender roles, because I want a man's man. I want somebody who's a provider, who's a protector. I want that. And I'm going to be a nurturer, but I'm not going to be a nurturer to a nigga who's out here running the streets and being disrespectful and not being a provider. I'm not doing that. And I don't have time for you to grow into that role. You take your time and do that, but I'm going to do me over here. And
absolutely.
If we come together and if we can meet together at a certain point and we're right for each other, we're equally yoked at that point, then we can move forward. But until then, I can't sit around and watch you grow up and help you grow up. That's not my job as a woman. That is your parents' job. And then if they didn't do it, that is your job, not mine.
I agree, and I don't think anybody said that she had to sit. Like, I mean, to me, when he was talking, he was grateful and thankful to her because she did. She didn't have to stay, and I don't think any woman is forced to stay in these positions. I think most women, or a lot of women, do just because of, like I said, our nature. We are nurturers and providers, so we're not, we just like with our children, we're not gonna just abandon our kids. And if we see a man that's, we see the good in him sometimes before he even sees the good in him, and we want to build him up and we want to uplift him. And I think that's our
Sorry.
yep.
Sorry, go ahead.
I don't want to say that's our job, but I think if you get into that relationship and you look at those vows through, for better or for worse, thick and thin and all this other stuff, but when you really think about it, if you're going to be the cover and you're going to do this for the long haul, we are going to have these growing pains. And a lot of times these men come into these relationships and they're undone. They're not cooked through. They ain't, the game plan ain't even a game plan because they haven't even thought about that. They're still trying to get their life right, but they met someone, and men mesh those lives together. But he's it's not even, and this woman, she realizes the potential in him. That's what we do. We see things before he can even see it.
And I think that's what we do as women. That's where we make a mistake, is we look at a man's potential, because what we think their potential is may not be what they think it is. And
it's
that's
a gamble. Right. It's a gamble.
And
I think
I'm coming from a woman who is of a certain age. I'm over 40. I've been through a long-term serious relationship with somebody who I thought had the potential. You know what I mean? And so I'm just coming from that perspective that, if I had a chance to do it all over again, I'm not saying I would not have been in that relationship, but I would have done a lot of things differently.
I respect that.
Yeah, I think you can also look at, like you mentioned with Michelle Obama and Barack, maybe she saw potential presidency in him. You know what I'm saying? Like, that doesn't mean he did or didn't, but sometimes it's not as, black and white as it may seem when it comes to a potential in someone. Because someone may already be good and great, but maybe they could be more. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
absolutely.
I agree with that.
That's where sometimes you gotta give some, and it's not just for men. You know what I'm saying? Some men grow up with the right mama, with the right rules and regulations, but
And sometimes that still don't mean shit though.
Yeah, but no, I'm saying like they fall in love with a woman who's not completely together. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes maybe they're more nurturing because they didn't have a father around or whatever the case. But I don't think it's always like one side or the other. But with these two individuals, it's tough for me to say, not really knowing their history and just going off of what he said. So
yeah, it just seems to be a continual message of women. We have to be fixers for men. I just never see the flip side of talking to men about how to better themselves and what you can do to be a better husband and be a support system for your better half. I just never hear those messages. Maybe I'm just not in tune to it, but I don't hear it. I don't see it.
Do you hear those messages, Vegas? Do you hear that? Where men supporting other men and building better relationships. I mean, is that a thing?
Yeah, it is. But what I'm getting from Nashelle, and I totally agree, is it doesn't happen enough. That's the issue, and it's not highlighted when it happens. Wins every week. You know what I'm saying? With younger men, older men, and they talk about everything, how to be a better father, brother, all kinds of things. And I'm just talking about black folk. But it doesn't happen enough. And that's why it seems like it's lopsided, because I see it also. I see women being told, like I was at a wedding recently, and the pastor, she was giving this long ass sermon. I could curse on your show, right?
Of course.
Yeah, what?
She was giving. I don't curse on mine. So, yeah, I don't curse on mine.
Oh, you don't?
But, nah, I don't. But I hear I was at this wedding and the pastor was like going in with, be submissive and, do this and support him. And I just felt like it was all these fucking rules, you know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? That made it feel like you were giving up something when it was more about their union, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? So
Mm-hmm.
I think that's kind of the problem. I think if society says, women, he wild, but he a man, just be there for him and take care of him.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
that's not true.
Exactly. And that's
Agree.
that's my point. That's my point.
Okay. But can we agree that he didn't mean that she was a big girl and that she was too big for him? That's not
I
what he
thought
meant,
that's
right?
what you were saying. I thought that's what you were saying. I ain't gonna front. I thought she was big when you said that.
No, not
But
in
he's
physical
big
size.
too.
Not in physical size, but in
I
maturity.
was like, damn. I was like, damn, he had to fit in two sizes. God damn.
I'm like,
About
but
to
as
Google
big as
right
he
now.
is,
Right.
I know you didn't mean that. I know you didn't mean that.
Oh, he's fat?
What? I
He's a
mean,
big
he ain't
boy.
skinny. You're right. He hefty.
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
he's
Damn.
he's husky. He's up in the husky section.
Oh, that means his suit tight around the shoulders and shit.
I mean,
Oh,
Yeah.
anyway, all right.
All right. Are we moving on? Where
Yeah,
are
let's
we
move
at
on.
now? All right. So we are now in the woke minute. And this woke minute really just, it touched me in a way that I really took this hard. So with the death of Kim Porter, who I think, as we all know, was P. Diddy, what do we call him now? Diddy, Puff Daddy, well, his ex-girlfriend and mother of his three children. Um, passed away this past Thursday at her home. Um, Believed it was cardiac arrest. They said that she had been suffering from pneumonia and was in contact with her doctor. And, sadly, she passed away. So she leaves behind her 20-year-old son, Christian, and twin daughters, 10-year-old, I think they're 11 now, Jesse James and Delilah, that she has with Puffy. And then she also has a 27-year-old son, Quincy, who she had with Albie Shore. So, this just hit me. It hit me really hard. She's a woman that you saw sometime in the spotlight, maybe, probably more in like the 2000, like late 90s and the early 2000s, because she was always with him. And then, she was the long suffering girlfriend to me. She never was the wife. He had, moved on with J Lo, and, he had that high profile love relationship with her. And then, he's been with Cassie for the last 11 years. And you always saw Kim, when you did see her, she was always with her kids. That's one thing that just always, resonated with me, was that she was a mother, and she was always, was always about her children. I had just saw a interview maybe about a week ago where Quincy was in a movie, and the first thing she said is like, I'm just here to support him. I'm here as a mother, and I'm so proud of him. And that's my memory of her. So um this I was also listening to Albie Shore, who said, funny, I didn't even know that Albie Shore wrote Forever My Lady for Jodeci. And the
Mhm.
first line of the song, where it goes, so you're having my baby, and it means so much to me. He wrote that for Kim because she was pregnant at the time with Quincy. So I just thought that was something I didn't even know that. So I don't know what you all think, if you want to weigh in on this. I'm just, one of the things that I did want to say, and now you and I have talked about this on the show before, was just, some of these, the facts have not all come out, but it just sounds like if she was suffering from what was pneumonia or the flu, and she had even said that she had called her doctor the day before she had passed away, complaining that she was not getting better, um, how she passed away under a doctor's care. And this just goes back to my point of how the healthcare industry does not listen to Black women, Black folk,
Mhm.
but in particular Black women, and that we suffer, um, you know, more so than white people, than our other counterparts, when it comes to our healthcare, because they just don't listen. And I did share my personal story of, where I ended up having a partial colectomy, having my intestines cut out, and, all because what I felt like a doctor didn't listen for about 30 days. No one listened to me about how much pain I was going through until it was, I had to have emergency surgery. So that I wanted to speak on. I don't know if both of you want to weigh in on this. Speak some words.
Yeah, it kind of just you sent me a text about it. I didn't, I hadn't heard about it, but it really took the wind out of me. I guess because we see people on TV who look healthy, not even on TV, just in general. We see they look healthy, and when they die, she was young. She's 47, so she's
Mm-hmm.
she's my big sister. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
that really hit hard because you know we all have an expiration date, and we like to think that it's later versus sooner. Um, and also what really touched me is that I just keep thinking about her kids. As a person who lost, I lost my mother when I was in third grade, and it's a pain that never ever goes away. No matter when you lose your mother, whether you're young or you're old, it's a pain that never goes away. And even though she has, her oldest kid is 27, that's too young to lose your mother. She has these baby girls that are just going into middle school. They're entering an age where they need their mother. This is the time where they're moving out of, girlhood and moving into adulthood. And this is the time where they need their mother. And, I pray, and I'm pretty sure, there's going to be a strong support system for them, for Puffy, to help raise these girls and help raise the other kids. But it just touched my heart so much because I just know how it feels to be, a motherless child. It's so painful. I still cry about it. And it's been over 30 years since my mother passed away. It's a hurt that never goes away. So, my thoughts and my prayers are just definitely with this family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I felt like I was kind of shocked by it, but I didn't know she was, sick for so long. And to die like that and to die so young. The first thing obviously I thought about was their family. Because on social media, you see how close they are. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You always see pictures of them with the kids and all that, and you could tell they're happy. You know what I'm saying? You can always tell when kids are happy just by looking at them. So to know they're losing their mom, that's going to be devastating for all of them. Obviously, prayers go out to them and their family. But also, I always think about, because I've lost people, but I always think about what these things mean. And I think for Diddy in particular, it means that there's something about his life that's going to have to change. Because I'm pretty sure she was carrying a load in regards to raising those children. It's going to, you're the father. The onus is on you. You have enough money to have other people chip in, and obviously family and grandma when you can, but he definitely has to be there for all of them. I'll be sure also, because it's funny how he would write that lyric, but the nigga wasn't in his son's life.
Isn't that crazy?
You know what I'm saying? But the thing is, it's like, now they took away your anchor. So what are you going to do now for your kids? So it's sad, but like you said, man, it's a part of life. Some people didn't even make it to 47. So it's all about celebrating her life and the impact she had on her family and individuals around her and people who knew her. And I think the fact that she was celebrated by people on social media the way she was says a lot.
It does.
And everyone had, only good things were said about her. Just, the round when you hear the legacy of her life was she was a mother. She was a mother to the core. I remember my grandmother used to say about my mother, she was born to be a mother. And you look at this woman and she was always with her children. You didn't hear too much of her outside of her being this mother. And, from what you could see, she did that job superbly. So, rest in peace to her. Absolutely. Yeah. All right. Well, here we go. The transition is always difficult.
I know. We always
talk about
at the verge of crying.
That, right?
What'd you say, Vegas?
I said, I hope you're not about to start talking about weekend dick after.
What?
That was what we motherfuckers do.
Absolutely.
We got to lighten this mood up. And what a weekend dick we do have to talk about.
Okay, so who's doing this one? How are we breaking this up?
All right,
How are we dicking this down? I'm sorry.
So last week, Jill Scott set Twitter and Instagram and social media ablaze by having sucking air dick one of her performances, and everybody was just so shocked that she was. But if you listen to her music, Jill Scott is very sexual.
Yeah.
So this is nothing new to like people who follow her music and who listen to her who are fans, but a lot of people were pretty shocked, I guess, because she has this this natural aura, and I guess natural women are supposed to be like virgin like, but whatever. So
people think she's so roots and berries, like
right,
and oils and muscle.
But roots and berries got to get fertilized, so But she did a demonstration that was it's pretty thorough. It's pretty, What you gotta say, Steven? She was very detailed in her technique.
Can I?
Why y'all so quiet?
I'm just, honestly, I felt like it was so vanilla and so like she ain't the first to do it. I mean, she pretended like she was sucking on a microphone, and
You thought that was vanilla?
I really did, honestly. I'm sorry. Am I a porn star in the making? That's nothing. What? I mean, but it was. I don't know. I wasn't impressed. And I think we put you posted something on our IG page, so everybody go and check our IG. It's Twiz Pod. But there was the video of Tina Turner doing the same thing back in the day.
Yeah, she was doing. I posted that she wasn't as graphic as Jill Scott was, but that was back in another time where she probably didn't really have the freedom to do it as graphically as Jill Scott. But it has been done before. Yeah.
It looked the same. And I mean, truth be told, there's Millie Jackson for all y'all old heads that try to be young. Like, I mean, she was to me like the mother of all of that. So I mean, I wasn't impressed. It was just
okay,
eating the microphone, dicking down the microphone, getting slapped in your face with a microphone dick. That's what it looked like. What's the big deal?
Yeah,
she did it. She's not the nicest person either. Like, whenever I think of Jill Scott, because I actually met her at one of the Essence festivals, and she was just like real short and curt, and just not the nicest person.
Yeah, I supposedly was going to one of her concerts back in Virginia, and I really expected her to sing, and she didn't sing. She was a host, and they didn't make that clear. So I was like,
tricked you.
Is she gonna do one song?
Bitch was like, "It ain't in my contract."
Hey, what is you here for? Vegas, you got any comments?
Yeah, I've seen her perform before. She didn't do that shit. She did sing. But I know her music, so it wasn't like this big shock to me that she was doing that. But I think at first when I saw it, when she was acting like she was sucking the dick, I was like, okay, whatever. It's when she started cuffing the imaginary balls that I was like, oh, this is different.
Yes,
and
Lord.
Then started using the two hands, and I was like, oh.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, this is not vanilla. And I know a lot of men who would appreciate that technique.
Well, look, you got to also understand that there's some niggas who's never had that.
Exactly.
So
what are you talking about?
And you got to earn that.
Yeah, there's some dudes who they
wait. What are you talking about, Vegas? What do you mean? There's some dudes that what?
It's some dudes who's with a woman right now who won't suck his dick at all. It's some dudes who are with a woman who don't know how to suck his dick.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? And then there's some dudes who've had that, what Jill Scott is doing, and then some, so they're the most like, yo, let me where her DMs at. You know what I'm saying? So it's different categories of men looking at that video, and women, shit, who are looking, because there's some women like, oh, you could do that? You know what I'm saying? So it's a learning experience for everybody.
Right. I didn't think it was vanilla at all. I thought it was.
honestly, I wasn't like super like, oh, what is she doing? It's just like, all right, it went with the show, and in actuality, they said that show was back in 2017, so somehow the video, it caught on kind of late because she'd been done that, so people actually saw that a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't really impressed. Here's my question though, since we're on Weekend D. I want to know, when is it okay to do that? Because I mean, Vegas, you just brought up a point. You like, there's some people in these relationships and they don't get head at all. Like, okay,
Yeah.
this is true. I guess this is true. So when is the right time? Is there a right time? Is there a timetable?
I think it's up to the individuals, because I've never dealt with anybody who didn't want to. But some people were, reluctant. I don't know, maybe they felt like they were giving me some form of power or whatever the fuck, like, oh no, I don't do that. And I'm like,
That
well,
vibranium.
yeah, like, yeah, I don't do that. You can't get that. And I'm like, well, what the
Bring
fuck
the
is
boy
that?
home. Bring the boy home.
Yeah, exactly. So
Stop.
I
Oh
think
my God.
I think it depends. There's
Okay.
some people out there, they just not as experienced in sex as others. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Um, the,
So, I'm
the
listening.
fact
Okay.
that you call it vanilla says a lot about you.
You know what? Calm down, because I'm just living my life carefree. I'm just looking at what she's doing, and I'm like,
Oh,
she's using a microphone.
yeah.
She's just simulating something with a microphone. I
Mm.
mean, I'm sorry. It just didn't like. I could see if she had a dude up there for real. Like, what's the rapper Danny Young or something, like, yo, the concert last week, he's standing there on stage, and the girl literally has his dick in her mouth. Literally.
Mm.
Giving him head while he's rapping. It was the craziest thing. I saw the video on World Star. So, I mean, she got a microphone.
Yeah, I think that was like, because wasn't she singing while she was doing it? So I think that was. Now, if she actually pulled a dude on stage and started sucking his dick, then I would be disgusted. Like, all right, dude, you are taking it way too far.
That'd be a totally
That's way
different.
too far.
That'd be
Way
totally
too
Meanwhile,
far.
me over
different.
here like, yeah, girl.
No, that's taking it way too far. But I appreciated what she did. You know what I'm saying? Because it just shows that we're not we're multifaceted. You could be wholesome, you could be roots and berry, but you can be sexual as well. And that's how we all got here.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. And that's what maybe I appreciated the most about it, was like, yeah, Jill, like, keep it real. And yes, I think her music is semi-sexual. Sometimes you'll hear it, but I mean, I think, like you said, there's so many sides to us. Like, absolutely. And she only it's a microphone. She's only simulating something that she probably does in real life. Kudos to her. I'm over here.
And
Yes.
I think it's more of, it was like the technique of it. People, some people have experienced it, some people have done it, some people haven't.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm. Yeah, get them jaws exercise, get them massage, and
Look. There's probably a dude out there whose woman didn't do that shit and saw that video, and that nigga probably got
mhm.
rewarded because she was like, "Oh shit, I didn't know you do all of that." And
Mhm.
now they buying Jill Scott whole discography, so it's
Mhm.
everybody be happy.
Yeah,
Exactly.
teaching some
Exactly.
folks. So
Each
all
one
right.
teach one.
It's the American way. All right.
Ooh. Okay. Where are we?
Moving right along. All right, so we're at the Reminisce. I reminisce.
Reminisce.
And so since we have Vegas World Inc. on That's What I'm Saying podcast, we're gonna let him take over this Reminisce. Vegas is a huge hip hop head. He has a podcast called Hip Hop Now. So Steven, I'm gonna let you take over.
All right, so this Reminisce that I decided to pick is out of 1989. It's from De La Soul. De La Soul's debut album, 3 Feet High and Rising, but it's the remix to Buddy, featuring the Native Tongues alumni like Jungle Brothers, Q-Tip, Moni Love, Queen Latifah. They all in the video. This was around the time where
Dancing.
they were at the height of like just that whole crew, as far as like being hot in hip hop. One of my favorite records, I believe, it samples Heat Wave, which was a 70s group that kind of dabbled in disco. And kind of no, matter of fact, no, scratch that. That's a different record. But nevertheless, it's Heartbeat. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But very, very dope track from back in the days, man. I love that record. Every time it comes on, it's 7 minutes long.
It's
By the
very
way,
long.
Mm-hmm.
it's because it got a
And
lot of
Chi Ali
talking.
was in it. Wasn't he killing somebody during that time? I'm just saying.
No, that was
Not
later.
yet.
Why you do that? Don't do
Yeah,
that.
I'm sorry.
he free. You better watch
He's,
it now.
yeah, he's free now.
I thought didn't he go to jail like right after that? Like didn't he go to jail in
No, I
the
don't think it was
90s?
right. He was a kid. He looked like he was like 12 years old. I think that was like later.
Yeah, in the,
Okay.
like mid-90s or whatever.
Yeah.
But what y'all think about that record?
I
Let
just
me-
want to. Oh, sorry.
Okay, so let me I just want to say that I remember where I was. So I was probably like in the I was in high school, or no, I was in middle school, sorry. But the way the fashion sense, and that's what I wanted to really talk about, the way that they dress, that was me and everybody I knew. Like that whole, with because I think that was the time when the resurgence of like back to Africa, and you wearing the Africa pendant and the ankh earrings, and they really caused a resurgence of like kind of like wanting to know about Black history and Africa. So I always appreciated that, and I remember that's how I dressed. I wanted the club shoes and the club shirt, and I wanted the little pieces, the earrings, and the Moni Love. It was so amazing that she had this accent, but when she rapped, she sounded like she was from New York. I really loved that. Just seeing, the Jungle Brothers and the whole native tongues and how they got together. And, Buddy to me was, like they said, it's a body, like how Prince Paul broke it down, like it's talking about bodies of all, shapes and sizes. So, smashing, whatever. And, we never really had a word for what was going on back, yes, having sex or whatever it was, but it was like a cool way to say, we about to get down, two bodies coming together. We about to do something. So, that's my memory of Buddy. What you say, Nah?
Man, that whole clique, Native Tongues, that was like the soundtrack of my high school years. Like when I hear like Buddy and Tribe Called Quest and Moni Love and Queen Latifah and all of them, like that is the backdrop to my whole high school years. This song, I swear to God, I probably played it back to back to back to back. And when it came on the video, man, I think I put it on my VHS, I taped it and would just watch it. And I just loved them so much. These were like when I saw them on TV, these were like my friends. That's how we dressed. This I just felt like I should have been in that group. I should be a Native Tongue. You know what I'm saying? So I love it. I loved it. I love them. And even now, when they have like Native Tongue parties, I definitely try to make my way there because it's just off. It's like the whole night. It's just dope. The music, the whole movement they had was just so super dope.
Mm-hmm. I wish we could bring some of that back, like that feeling, that Native Tongue feeling. I wish we had that today.
Yeah.
Look, to piggyback off of what you were saying about like the African medallions and the way they dress and stuff like that. Also, when you think about that time, like late 80s into the early 90s, you had Spike Lee joint, the Cosby Show before the rapey times.
Yep.
Or during
the raping times.
Yeah, during
well,
the rapey times.
little did we know.
Yeah, exactly. You had a different world. You had a lot of that going on in media in general. So it was kind of like,
and the HBCUs, the sweatshirts that they had.
Exactly,
oh my goodness.
Exactly. So it kind of, the music kind of became the soundtrack to some of that in some respects. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
definitely. Very dope record.
It was a very dope record.
Definitely. If you younger and you listening to this and you don't know what we're talking about, definitely go check it out. Go watch the video on YouTube. It's De La Soul Buddy Remix out of 1989.
Yeah, it's a great time of music.
89, a number, another summer. Ooh, yeah. Okay. Very good. All right. So we are now at the segment of the show where we support support of Black business. So we believe in growing our economy and strengthening our communities. And we desire to build awareness of products that are made for us by us, all the FUBU that you can handle. So today I wanted to highlight a custom designer by the name of Kiya Tomlin. She launched a collection of basically it's reimagined sweatsuits back in 2014. Very, very loose. I like the concept of them, very inspired for the modern woman. She's the namesake, and one of the things that people always know her from, she's actually married to the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, Mike Tomlin. So she's a New Jersey native, and her website, Uptown Sweats, sells, which I believe is very comfortable wear. So shout out to Kiya Tomlin. You can find her at kiyatomlin.us, www.kiya, KIYATOMLIN.us. So just wanted to shout her out. All right, y'all. All right. And I think, are we at the end? Is this the end? We have come to the end of this very interesting show. So you can subscribe to That's What I'm Saying, the podcast. We're in the Apple Podcast app, Google Play, iHeartRadio, SoundCloud, Speaker, Stitcher, CastPod, TuneIn, and Spotify. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. On Twitter handle is That's What I Say 3. Visit That's What I'm Saying, the podcast.com to learn more. Send us questions and comments. And also, who are we shouting out that is right here on the show?
Yes. We always shout out Vegas World Inc. You can check him out on Instagram, on Twitter, and also check out his podcast, Hip Hop Now.
Thank you, Vegas.
No doubt. Peace.
Drop it on the random.